or good morning everyone. It's really early this morning. I have just dropped the kids off. It's just gone 8 o'clock, so it's a little bit dark. It's really overcast and it's cold. I already have the heating on. It's really cold today. So I wanted to do a video, another cloth nappy video. I'm trying to get these out as much as I can. I know some people are probably thinking, oh, maybe you're wanting some different content, but I really just want to get these videos out because once they're out there, they're there for you to kind of look back on. And this is kind of where I started my channel, and I really kind of want to just have a good collection of videos about cloth nappies that will stay on the internet. Obviously things go out of date, things change, but I get questions all the time about cloth nappies, and kind of lots of the time it's people that are trying to troubleshoot an issue that they may be experiencing, and they're quite common problems. I have done a Q&A, leave it all linked down below. But this video is, a collection of the most asked questions that I get. Pretty much everyone that uses cloth nappy will experience some kind of issue at some point, and it's really good to be able to work out what it is. It's going to be quite a long video, so what I'll do is down below I'll leave all the times to which I am starting the next topic. See if it's a particular thing you're looking for or trying to work out, then you can go down below and just click on it, so you don't have to watch the whole video. But if you do want to watch the whole video, then stick around. And yeah, let's get cracking. So I'm going to discuss the kind of more easier, quicker things first, and then go on to the more complicated things later on. So the first thing is basically just about paling, and paling is basically how you store your nappies when they've been used. So do you wet pail or dry pail? And this is becoming quite a common question I'm getting asked, and it's a bit frustrating that it's becoming a common question. The concept of wet paling, which is basically when you get like some water and you leave them in there to soak when they're dirty. I think it's just so dated and so horrible. Like, it's quite hazardous. If your child was to go over and spill it, it would be just gross. It's basically just like poo and wee soup. It's gross. So just forget anything to do with water when storing your nappies that are dirty. Just store them in a wet bag. You're kind of good to go at that point. So this is how we store our nappies. We actually have a bin upstairs and downstairs. This IKEA flip bin upstairs, and this bin liner that we use is basically a Planet Wise reusable bin liner that's for like normal household waste. If you're like a zero waste family or you want to reuse your bin liners, this is a really good option. But it works. It's basically just a wet bag, a giant wet bag with an elasticated rim. And I just put that in, and that holds a lot of our nappies, because both Sebastian and Albert are in nappies in the night, just Albert in the day, and then obviously the new baby, so that's 2 in cloth in the day. So we need a lot of storage space, and this holds all of those. Albert is basically just using the potties. And then we have a little one downstairs as well for kind of nappy changes that may happen downstairs, and we just put those in there in a wet bag inside. There's different types of storage. Some people use mesh bags. I don't particularly like them personally, just because I feel I have to constantly wipe the bin out and it starts to smell, because obviously there's lots of holes in it. I prefer a wet bag. It's totally up to you. Some people just have a hanging wet bag that they keep like hanging on the door. Whatever works for you, but just don't use water. Boosters and liners, what is the difference? What's what? People get really muddled, and I remember when I first started, people were talking about liners and boosters and inserts, and I was like, what's what? It got really confusing. So I'm going to talk quickly about that now. So basically an insert is an insert or a booster is anything that goes inside a nappy. So inside a pocket nappy or inside an all-in-one nappy to boost it. An all-in-one nappy will come with an insert that's inside it already, but you can boost it with another insert or a booster. So essentially boosters and inserts are the same thing. Insert could be this, and then you may boost it with this to boost the absorbency, but they're both still inserts because they're being inserted. They are not liners. You're not lining your nappies inside. That's I think where a lot of people get confused. We were having this discussion at a cloth nappy library meeting that I helped run, and it was the thing that seemed to throw most people off. It's the thing that made them feel very confused. People were buying fleece liners thinking that they could line their nappies inside them, like, you know, stuff them in their nappies, and getting really muddled up. So forget liners are not what give you absorbency. I'll move on to those in a minute, but basically anything that goes in your nappy that creates any absorbency, they are boosters or inserts. A liner is what lines the nappy to protect, to either make it stay dry or to catch poo, or both in the case of fleece. So for example, this is a fitted nappy. Inside it's cotton, so against the baby's skin this is going to feel quite wet. So you line it with fleece and it not only makes the baby stay dry, but it also will catch any poo. If you're out and about, some people choose to use a paper liner, and that is again for catching poo only. But either way, these two are liners. They are lining your nappy to catch poo. These are not going to give you absorbency. Liners, inserts and boosters. Okay, bio or non-bio. So I've done a how to wash cloth nappy videos, I've done a strip washing nappy video, talk a bit about it in there, but basically it's whatever works for you. Some cloth nappy manufacturers will say not to use bio or not to use certain products, and it's usually, and also to wash at certain temperatures, that we at the Nappy Library might suggest to wash a bit higher than. But often nappy manufacturers will really err on the side of caution, because they want to 100% fully proof their nappy so that the warranty is not, you know, so that they last. But quite often, sometimes what they recommend may not cut the wash, if that makes sense. So I use bio, and the reason I use bio is because it contains enzymes that break down any nasty pathogens. Also means I can wash at a lower temperature. It's also what works for us. After a while using non-bio at 60, we start to get problems. We start to need to strip wash regularly. So it's just what works for us. And if whatever you're doing now works for you, stick with it, even if it might not be, you know, the thing that's necessarily recommended. I know lots of people that use soap nuts and eco eggs. They're not recommended for nappies. They hold pathogens. They do not kill pathogens in your nappies. But people use them, it works for them. So just, I'm a big believer you just stick to what you kind of know. In my last video I did mention that I use Bio-D. I bought a bag of Bio-D, but I wasn't actually using it, and the reason I didn't mention what I was using is because I didn't want to mention that brand. It's been taken over by another company. So basically that brand is eCover, and I don't like to use them anymore. But apparently eCover's not recommended for nappies anyway, but I don't know why. We've never had trouble using it, but we don't use that now. And I have just ordered a brand new bio powder from a company called Splosh, and they're an more eco-friendly, more sustainable brand, and they come in reusable bags, so or like refillable bags. So we're going to try those, and I'll let you know how we get on with those. But in the meantime, until I receive that, I've basically just been using like a supermarket Aldi brand of bio in the meantime, and that does work really well for us. If you want kind of any sort of statistics or I don't know, fact around that, then the Cloth Nappy Science Gang is a really good website you can go to, where they run all kinds of cloth nappy experiments. And they did an experiment recently for the NHS, working alongside the NHS, where they swabbed the nappies. Soap nuts and eco eggs came out as the worst in terms of not being able to kill any of the pathogens in nappies, and bio came out as the better ones, as well as the higher temperature non-bio. So it was really good to kind of just see how it works. It's really important to kill those nasties. You know, you're dealing with a lot of bodily fluid that is essentially sitting there for a good few days. We wash every sort of 3 days. So we really need something to give it a really good kick and to really get rid of any of those nasties. Especially if they had, like I said, it's been sitting there, it's been being really absorbed into those fibres. Back in the day, something like this, they would have been able to boil it. I actually don't use that much non-bio powder because I mix it with soda crystals, and soda crystals kind of soften your water. You don't need to use as much detergent. Make sure you don't use any fabric softeners, though you can use something like Bold 2-in-1 because it's a clay-based softener, so you can use that. And yeah, just have an experiment, just see what works for you. A few people have asked if nappies, cloth nappies, are hotter or colder than disposable nappies. They're worried about when they go on holiday and in really hot weathers. Cloth nappies are actually 2 degrees cooler, apparently. So that answers your questions. They're not made, yes, they have the POL wrap, but there's lots of more plastic inside a disposable nappy, so they are a little bit hotter. Are biodegradable nappies still okay? The answer to that is no, they're not. They're better for your baby. They're better against their skin. We went through which I'll explain about when I come to the another subject. Albert's a very heavy wetter. We went through a very difficult period of 2 weeks where we were using disposables at home, in the day when out and about, because we couldn't get the right combination for him. And it made me feel really bad that I was using these disposables. And this is no judgment on anyone that does use disposables, but it just, for me, using cloth for so long, it was not, I didn't like it. And whilst we did use the biodegradable ones, and they are better against baby skin, they haven't got as many nasties in them, they're not biodegradable in our systems because we just stick things in the bin and then they go to landfill. So then they can't decompose in landfill. The countries that design these have like industrial compostable systems, so they can compost there, but here they don't. I mean, they're better, but they're still not great, you know. Saying that though, you know, we do have some, whenever we've had a newborn, we always have some biodegradable nappies on hand, because it does make my husband life easier, or if things are just a bit chaotic perhaps. I'm definitely finding the more children I'm having, I'm kind of easing into it, so I don't think it'll be a problem this time. My plan is actually to take any cloth to hospital if I get transferred, but we do have some on hand if need be. So is the washing easier or harder? It's easier. I find that I'm doing a wash all the time because there's always a big pile of clothes or some nappies to wash. I wash every sort of 2 to 3 days, and I have enough nappies to be able to do that. Some people may not have as many and therefore need to wash perhaps every day. It all depends on how many nappies you have. With nappies, cloth nappies, you're chucking them all in, you're putting them on a set wash setting, and then you're putting them to dry. We have a Lakeland heated airer, so we put them all on there, but you could put them in the dryer. If you have like all natural fabrics like this, you can put them in on quite a hot heat. If you have something like a pocket nappy or a PUL wrap, those would probably need to be like air dried or tumble dried on low, but you can just stick them in the tumble dryer. Once they're all dry, you just take them out of the tumble dryer, take them off the line or the airer, and you can do what you will with them then. Some people, like I really enjoy sitting down in front of the TV and folding them up. I really enjoy it. I'll do it perhaps when the kids are watching TV. It doesn't kind of eat into my day. It's an enjoyable thing to do. And some people literally just take them out of the tumble dryer or the airer, put them in a basket and leave them, and they just grab them as and when. With clothes, it's so different. You've got big items, smaller items, you've got some that iron, some that don't, some that might need separating colour, like that might run, some that don't. You know, you've got to then fold them all up, put them all away in different places. I hate the clothes washing so much that if I could afford it, I would honestly send my clothes out for a service wash every week. I hate it that much, but the nappies are so easy. For me, it's not hard to do the nappies. It's hard to do general normal washing. That's what I find difficult, but nappies are really, really not hard at all, I promise you. Storing wipes. How do you store wipes? How do you take them out? So basically, there's so many different options out there. I know of people who, it's what works for you, and I hate criticizing, but I have tried all the options that I'm about to mention. So I know people that will take out like a bottle and wet their wipes as they go. I know people that take out a spray. I know people that just kind of wring as they go. All those options did not work for me. I found them really faff. I once took a water bottle out and the water spilled everywhere. I took a spray bottle and found that I was like having to spray for ages to get like enough water. I've been to toilets before where I've had to wring them under the sink, and although I've clipped in, you know, Sebastian, this was when I had Sebastian was little, he was like nearly wriggling off. It was just such a faff. And then I just thought, why don't I just take them out pre-wetted, like wet wipes? Why not? And I think a lot of people worry that they're going to go musty. Let me tell you now, they don't go fousty. You don't need to add any essential oils or any of that into them. Just leave them. Essential oils can actually irritate baby skin as well sometimes, not always, but sometimes. Just leave them with plain water. That's all you need. And basically what I do is I store them in a little basket by the sink, and I keep them all stacked there. If I need them at home, I basically just wring them under the sink as and when I need them, and it's quite nice because I can wring them out quite nice and warm. So if I need to wipe someone's hands or face, I just wring one under the sink. I use them for like the work surfaces. I use them for all sorts of things, just to wipe up general mess. And then before we go out, I have this Planet Wise wet bag, and you can use a Tupperware or any kind of storage. I like this wet bag because it can squish down quite small in the bag. I have used other wet bags and they have leaked. This one is an actual wipes pouch designed for wipes, and it clips down, it zips up and it folds down, so there's no leaks. And I store them in there wet, and I only need to take out about 4 in the day. I don't need very many. I just literally just pull them out like you would a normal wet wipe. They don't smell, they don't go foul still. I've actually left them in there for 2 days once, getting that I hadn't like renewed them, and they smelt fine. There was no fouliness whatsoever. So that's my recommendation. Again, do what works for you, but that's how we store them and that's how we use them. A lot of people struggle with drying, and I can understand this because, like I said, living in my old house, we didn't have a tumble dryer and we just had a normal clothes horse. But I asked a couple of Christmases ago for a Lakeland heated airer. I can't remember how much it retails at. It's about 150, I think. It has a cover that goes over it. It was the best investment, and my tumble dryer was costing an extra £1.50 a day. Tumble dryers use up a lot of energy, so my husband bought me this heated airer, and it is fantastic. We got the extra large one, and I do worry about how much I'm going to be able to fit on it once the baby arrives. I may need to do a tumble dry a couple of times a week. I've sort of allowed myself that, you know, because I'm a bit tight when it comes to using the tumble dryer. It's something like 30p for 10 hours, something really cheap to dry all your clothes. And I will leave them, all the boosters, all the really kind of long drying thick ones, I leave them on there for 10 hours overnight, and you can set a timer on it, and they're all dry by the next morning. They're all dry, so I highly recommend those if your budget allows it. You can tumble dry your nappies, you can tumble dry them on hot if it's got no plastic in it. If it does have any kind of PUL plastic, then you want to tumble dry them on low or leave those to dry. You can use, like I said, the airing cupboard. Okay, so moving on to sort of the bigger ones now. So leaks, this is the biggest problem, the biggest issue, the biggest thing that people need to troubleshoot. And leaks happen for a variety of reasons. So the first reason is that you need more absorbency. The second reason is that you're getting wicking and you may need to change what's inside your nappies. The third reason is there could be build-up in your nappies and you may need to strip them. And the fourth reason is your nappies are actually ruined and the PUL, or the plastic that keeps them waterproof, is actually damaged, and unfortunately the nappy is no longer to use. So those are the main reasons why you may get leaks. So one of the really new popular nappies now are like the modern cloth nappies. These are these pocket nappies or all-in-one nappies. These work for many people, but you're more likely to get compression leaks or wicking with these nappies. And the reason is because there's just a natural manufacturing flaw in them. Lots of more sort of big brands have actually tried different things to stop this, so like double gussets, stuff like that. But generally, if you've got something like this, if the kind of booster is touching any of the holes around the seams, it can actually leak through the stitching. It can go over onto the leg gussets and cause gusset leaks. So that can be a bit of an issue for a lot of people. Another issue as well is what is in your nappies. So microfiber is notorious for leaks. It absorbs very quickly. It's like a sponge and it holds a lot, but the minute you squeeze it or compress it in any way, it's going to wick out. People then put something like a bamboo booster underneath the microfiber, but it even then sometimes is not enough. I feel like microfiber doesn't have such a long life. It works for some people. For medium wetters, it works for their entire nappy like life. For a lot of people, find that they start after a while getting wicks and leaks and things with microfiber. So my advice would be just ditch it. Like, I never recommend microfiber nappies, and a lot of brands are still making nappies with microfiber inserts, and I just think that maybe they need to perhaps think about, you know, the longevity. Sebastian was able to use a microfiber booster for about 6 months, and then after that we had to get rid of it. They also are more likely to smell after a while. They just get a bit stinky. Again, it just, I think because it's like there's microplastics in it. It's like a plasticky man-made fibre. So I would always recommend going for a natural fibre. But before I talk about what's inside it, another issue that you might find is if you need to add more absorbency, obviously your nappy's going to be like this, isn't it? Your baby's got, usually they have chunky legs, so they're going to be squeezing the nappy like this. They're going to be squeezing them in between their legs. The same as if you've got like a car seat or a sling, there's going to be compression. And it's going to kind of, what tends to happen is things squeeze and wicks over, and that's where the trouble happens. Also, if you start adding more boosting or more absorbency, if you boost it too much that it's too bulky, then this kind of comes down a bit because it's so bulky, and then you get like bad fitting nappies and you can get leaks that way. I do have a few, literally about 3 or 4 that I'm willing to kind of try in the early days, but they've never worked for any of the children. With Sebastian, they worked for probably about 6 months, but even then I had to change them every 2 hours because they would always otherwise start to leak around the leg gussets. So we've always used 2-parter systems. They're the most basic system you can get, but and they're cheapest as well, but they are the most bomb-proof. So we use this. This is like the Diddy diaper. We also use pre-folds wherever they are. So that's these. We kind of just alternate. This will sit inside a wrap. So you've got the whole thing wet, but then you've got a wrap. We always use a double gusseted wrap. Not always. We have a Mother-Ease airflow wrap, and that doesn't have a double gusset. But a double gusset wrap is good because if it does come onto the inside, then it's protected again by an additional layer of the outside leg gusset. So before you actually are going to get any leaks, you likely would have changed your nappy by then. And we've had instances where this has been so saturated I've had to actually wring it out in the toilet because it's so wet, and like there's no way I could have even put it in the wet bag. But the wrap has been totally dry and been absolutely fine. This is the Mother-Ease Ricky wrap, and they also do an airflow wrap which is not double gusseted, but they are still equally probably the best, most leak-proof wraps I think you can get, because they have this like mesh. It's like it's not like a normal fabric, it's like a mesh that goes over the PUL, and it just stops that kind of, I don't know how it works really, it's magic. Just stops any kind of like moisture getting onto the actual wrap. It's not the same as these, so they work really well, Mother-Ease. If you do really like your pockets though, just take out the microfiber and you can replace it with a booster. So this is a Little Lamb booster. Little Lamb make lots of different boosters. This is a tri-folded booster. We also have Apple Cheeks and Apple Cheeks boosters. We have a 2-ply and a 3-ply, and the 3-layer one is good because by the time you've folded it into 3, you've got technically 9 layers of bamboo, and you can use that to stuff your pockets. And then you could get perhaps a smaller booster as well. If you want to really go all out, something we absolutely love is hemp. Hemp is phenomenal. It holds so much moisture, and even then when you want to wring it out, you can't because it's just locks the moisture in there. It's so good. It does take a little bit longer to dry, but seriously guys, hemp is the way forward. I'd always recommend perhaps a hemp and a bamboo booster or something, you know, in a pocket. That would work really well. If you had a newborn that was in pre-folds, you can use a pre-fold in a pocket, just tri-fold it and stuff. This is a massive one, but the newborn version, just use that in your pocket. You can use anything. I know somebody that uses a tea towel. She like actually folds up a tea towel, like loads of tea towels, 100% cotton ones, and just lays them in the wrap. I've done a video on stripping nappies, but if you are finding that the minute your child wheezes, it starts to smell or you're getting leaks, and you've tried to troubleshoot everything else, it might be worth stripping your nappies. And the best way to do this really is stick them out in the rain. I'll leave the video link down below, but you can basically go and watch that. But leaving them out in the rain is the best way to really give them a good soak. It will also soften them a bit. Heavy wetting in the day. So heavy wetting in the day has been a big problem for us to switch to disposables in the day, because Albert was basically, he needed such a huge heavy boosted nappy that we couldn't get his clothes on, he couldn't move around very well, it was just not very nice for him. So we worked out the reason for this, and that was in the bamboozle stretch nappies, but they have a microfiber core, and I didn't know that. Microfiber just doesn't work for us, so we switched that system over to a 100% organic cotton option, and we now don't have that problem. It doesn't mean to say that bamboos or stretch won't work for you. They are phenomenal nappies. They are a good system. Tot spots are brilliant and they work for a lot of people. They just didn't work for us, and they did work for Sebastian, but they didn't work for Al. But he is just exceptionally heavy wetting. So what we do is we basically use these or pre-folds. If you have a heavy wetting child, this is all I would recommend. I wouldn't recommend anything else. These will not, they won't leak and they will absorb loads. So with the pre-fold, really bad fold here by the way, but yeah, just the old school traditional way with a snappy. And quite often I will actually add in like a little booster in there as well. And we use that with either a Mother Ease Ricky wrap or an airfryer wrap or whatever wrap we have available at the time, sometimes a Bambino Mia wrap. But we also use these, and these are shaped nappies that are sized, and they are the same as a pre-fold, offer the same absorbency, but they're sort of ready cut to shape. And you fasten them with a snappy fastener, and they're very thick. They're very sort of just thick cotton. But even then I still need to use, where is it, the little bamboo booster in there, and then I will lay fleece on top to stop him feeling wet, and I'll use that with a wrap. And that gives us not only a really nice slim nappy option about in the day, means that he's mobile, means he can freely move about, but we don't get any leaks. I just think these are nappies that you can buy right at the beginning of your journey, and you know that they're never going to fail you. Whereas pocket nappies and all-in-ones, they're kind of trial and error. They may fail on you, they may not. It's really difficult to know. So, but you'll never go wrong with a two-part system. That's it. I'm sorry it was a very long video, but to get all this information out there, it kind of needs to be. I really hope that it helped you if you are troubleshooting and it was informative enough. And I will see you in the next video. Please make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell for every time I upload. And make sure you follow me on my social media as well. And yeah, I'll see you guys soon. Bye.